This 4x4 is driven by the Understanding Rural Pathways Transition Report, produced by Shell Foundation and MasterCard Foundation's Rural and Agricultural Finance Learning Lab, co-funded with UK aid from the UK government. The report advocates mapping rural households' economic and social circumstances to align support to meet the needs and aspirations of rural households. This 4x4 shares insights on how a nuanced understanding of rural households' needs can impact on business performance. Each expert has 4 minutes to share their views. Dan Haglund is the Senior Private Sector Advisor in the FCDO's Agricultural Research team. Why is the Understanding Rural Pathways Transition study important?
My name is Dan Haglund. I'm a Senior Private Sector Advisor in the Agriculture Research team of the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office of the United Kingdom. And this area of work, trying to understand better the motivations and needs of farmers and those working in the food system. We all know how agriculture activities are highly context dependent, and the outcomes in terms of productivity, incomes, vulnerabilities to climate change and so on are highly dependent on so many local factors. Soil quality, local weather patterns, access to markets, particular agronomic approaches you take and so on. But in addition to this, there's another dimension of context specificity that we have ignored for too long, which is really around the diversity of needs and aspirations of the people themselves, the people working in this area. Because we found through the work by Institute for Smallholder Finance a few years back how there are actually quite different pathways that rural households aim to progress through, and I think that was a real eye-opener. I think in many cases businesses trying to serve farmers would take quite basic and simplistic approaches to segmenting these customers. So I think the work that we then launched together with Shell Foundation and MasterCard Foundation really tries to unpack further those questions around different categories of pathways mapped out from that initial piece of work, but we wanted to, in an empirical way, by surveying over 1,000 rural households in Kenya, understand a little bit more about just what sort of drives whether a household can progress through their preferred pathway or not. So really trying to unpack the enablers and barriers to these pathways taking place. This work is really important, I think, because now that it's come out, it's kind of telling us two things, really. The first is that it's adding a bit of specificity and sort of a bit of a map to what these different barriers, enablers are and how they vary, which will be useful for businesses working in this area in terms of tailoring their products and services to different customer needs. But secondly, it really makes the point quite clearly that the needs of farmers are so complex that any single organization or funder cannot really tackle them alone. But there's a real need for partnerships across funders, across businesses, and partnerships that can perhaps leverage digital to share data to get a more granular understanding of these farmers' needs. And I think this is a really important message that we all need to reflect on.
The CASA programme is proud to work in partnership with the Shell Foundation to share knowledge and insights with the agricultural investor community in Asia and Africa. Visit the event page of the CASA website to see recordings of other expert viewpoints shared in the CASA 4x4s and webinar series.